welcome back to the Lifting for Dummy series. This is part 2 of the series. In this series, I go over everything that you need to know as a beginner to have a smooth introduction into the gym where you're not going to fall off the wagon. Nothing's going to be confusing, and you're going to have an easy time sticking to it after 1, 2, or 3 months. This is the most common time where people quit going to the gym is in that first, when they're just starting out. Okay, and the reason why they quit is because of two things. They're not getting any results fast, okay? And when you're doing this right, you actually should get results fast. And number two, they don't know why they're not getting those results. So what it is, it's a mixture of failure and confusion, or not understanding what to do about that failure. And I think Mike Menser put it this way. When I heard him say this, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He compared it to, if you are driving from California to New York, you need a map, right? And let's say you go to California, from California to New York with no map, and at some point you get lost. You find yourself in Texas somewhere, and you have no idea where you're going. I mean, most people would give up before they got to Texas. They didn't know where they're going. But the point is, when you have no clue where to go, and you're also unsure of your current location, the first thing that you're going to do is turn around and go back home. And that's exactly what most people do. The gym is uncomfortable, especially for first timers. The gym is not a place that is particularly enjoyable to be in if you don't already enjoy fitness and lifting and stuff like that. It can be a lot, okay, for a lot of people. It's a lot of stimulation. And the first thing that you're going to do if you don't understand everything that you're doing is you're going to convince yourself that this isn't actually worth it. You're going to rationalize things, all sorts of things to yourself. You're going to tell yourself all sorts of things to make yourself feel better about why you're stopping. Oh, it's just not for me. I'm not a fitness person. You know, you're going to see all these other people in the gym that have been doing it for a while, and they're going to intimidate you. So we need to solve that problem before it happens. That's the key. We need to address this early. And the way we address this early, because like I said, this is a problem of ignorance. The way we address the ignorance problem is with education. Okay, so in the first part of this series, in the first video, I talked to you about exercise selection, what the point of exercise selection is, and which exercises you should choose. And I even gave you a free beginner program that can help you get started if you're looking for just something to just start doing without having to put really any thought into it. Okay, so now in this video, I'm going to actually give you the key to being able to use all that information by telling you exactly how all of these exercises are to be performed. Now, when I say that, this video is a little bit different from most exercise technique videos you're going to see on the internet, because I'm not just using an empty barbell. In some of the clips here, you're going to see that I am demonstrating either with just my body weight or an empty barbell, but I always follow up that same clip with another clip of the same exercise, of me actually performing that exercise as part of my routine, as part of my program. Like, I lift too, guys, and I would never tell you guys to do an exercise that I didn't know from personal experience was effective. Does that make sense? And so a lot of these exercises that you see here, either I have a substitution for it that's within my program that is a similar movement pattern, or it's the same concept as far as the exercise goes, it works the same muscle, yada, 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 or it's the same exact exercise itself, and I actually am doing the set as hard as I can. And you're gonna actually see it's like a candid video of what it should really look like. I think the problem with most technique videos that you look online, let's say you look online, how do you do a deadlift, how do you do a squat, you're gonna see people showing you only how to do it with just the bar, and that's really important. That's why I have these in here. I don't want you guys starting out just throwing on the maximum weight that you can and just doing it. Like, you have to start with the bar, start slowly, take a week to just kind of acclimate yourself to the movement patterns and all that stuff. But then what happens, right? We get to that confusion stage that I'm talking about. You're not going to realize what you are going to realize as soon as you start to add weight is that, oh, once I put on weight that's challenging for my muscles, it makes it hard for me to maintain the same technique. And the common sense that everyone tells me is, you shouldn't lift more. If as soon as your technique goes bad, you stop the set, right? You don't go to the point where you can't stand up with the bar on a squat anymore and your back is all curved and stuff like that. Like, you stop on the last rep that you know you can maintain good technique for. But do you see the problem there? If you're a beginner, how do you know? Let's say you do 5 reps and you're getting tired. How do you know if you can do a 6-1 with good form, right? You know that your form's going to change a little bit because you're getting more and more tired. Is there a degree to which that change is acceptable to where it becomes bad form, right? Is there like a certain line that needs to be crossed? Is any deviation or any variation in form completely unacceptable, right? So those are the questions you're going to inevitably have once you get to the point where you're actually able to start trying hard on these exercises. And what I want to do in this video is show you not only how it's supposed to ideally look in a perfect world with just the empty barbell that you have no challenge to change your technique whatsoever. I'm going to show you that. And then I'm also going to show you what a set should look like when you're actually trying your balls off and it's getting hard and fighting back on you. I'll show you what that last 2 or 3 reps with good technique is supposed to look like. I'll let you know what's going on in my head during the set, why I stopped the set there, what I'm trying to do to make sure that my form stays good even as I'm getting close to failure. And then I'll show you exactly that process of how to think through it for yourself so that you make sure each one of your sets is effective and safe when you're actually doing the program. So without further ado, let's get started, right? All of these exercises are in the program. So I'm going to go over each one. The first one, the back squat, most important, okay? So the back squat is meant to work the quadriceps, okay, and the glutes. You're also going to develop a lot of low back and ab isometric strength with it because you're going to be flexing your abs like you're doing a sit-up, and you're going to be flexing your low back the entire time to keep your spine rigid. Okay, so if you have a healthy back, it's a really, really good exercise to include because it's going to keep your back healthy. It's going to make it stronger and help improve posture, all that type of stuff. But more importantly, it is a killer exercise for the legs if you do it properly. But you need to keep in mind. So watch what I do here. First thing you notice is my shoulder from the top down, okay? So my head, first of all, I'm not like this. I'm looking up, right? Next, do you see my shoulders? They're pinned back like this. That's going to be a common theme on barbell exercises, pretty much except for the deadlift, is you want to have your shoulders pinned back like that with your shoulder blades together, okay? Together. All right, that's going to allow your elbows to get back behind the bar and allow you to pull the bar down into your back, which will be uncomfortable for beginners, by the way. You just have to not be a pussy and deal with the pain for a little bit until it goes away. It's just a little bit of bruising that'll happen. You're going to be good. Everyone goes through it. I experienced it for the first 3 or 4 weeks of squatting. It goes away, okay? Now, you want your hands placed as close as you can together without your elbows coming up underneath you. So if you see here, I'm going to demonstrate. This is perfect, right? I could go a little wider if I want to make it comfortable on my wrist, but what I don't want to do is go so narrow that my elbows have to go underneath the way they just did. Keep them behind you like that. Keep those shoulders pinned back and stay on that little meaty shelf that happens right here when you pinch your shoulder blades back together. That will help reduce the pain. It will still hurt at first. Okay, next thing you're seeing me do is hinging, okay, without bending my knees, and then I bend my knees without hinging. So it means that I just showed you bending at my hips and then bending at my knees. What we want to do with the squat is do both at once, okay? Now, here's a proper squat. My hips and my knees bend at the same time. My knees are going outward. I'm forcefully pushing them outward, okay? It's a good cue. It's going to help maintain the alignment of your knees and your toes, okay? If your knees come too far into your toes, okay, your glutes won't have any leverage to do any work, okay? Similarly, if your knees are too far out, your adductor is so stretched that it's not going to have leverage to do any work either. So you want to keep a nice even knee right over the toe type of angle there. Do you see that? What I'm trying to demonstrate there, let me go back. What I'm trying to demonstrate there is that I'm not trying to come up my butt. Okay, if I stand up, if I just think about standing up, right, using my feet, then what's going to happen is my hips will rise. Okay, everybody's going to push with their feet. It's natural. It's a squat. What you need to do is focus on pushing your back into the bar because that's what doesn't come natural. right, is the back end of the bar. So we want to think squatting up with our chest first. That's going to help a lot too. Most importantly, look at the feet. They are flat on the ground, okay, while my back is flat. All right, your feet need to be flat and your back needs to be flat. Feet and back, feet and back, feet and back. Always think about those two things when you're squatting and learning the technique for the first time. Is your foot position and your back, because they will tell the whole story. All right, if your feet are not flat on the ground, it means you're leaning forward, you're leaning back, or the sides or something. You're leaning the wrong way. Okay, and if your back is bending with your feet flat, it just means you're not flexible enough to go down all the way to that range. Maybe it's like a hamstring or an adductor tightness thing. Maybe it's glutes. It could be your low back itself. There's a billion reasons why that could be happening, but most of the time you've got tight hips, and that's okay. You're just going to go down as low as you can, keeping your feet flat and keeping your back flat, and eventually you will be able to go lower. Now, I will say a lot of people limit their depth because they're bending with the knees and not bending with the hips. So that's why I made that point. Make sure that you bend over. Okay, you have to embrace that forward lean on the squat because your femurs have length, right? Unless your femurs are 2 inches long like a Chinese weightlifter and you can just go right down and up, you are going to have to bend over on the squat. Okay, and I want you to not be afraid of that because you will feel tension in your low back. But that's why I made that point about bracing your abs, bracing your back, because you should feel tension in your back as long as it's proper tension. What that's going to do is allow your legs to do the work of pushing the bar up while your back stays straight. Does that make sense? Cool. Let's move on. Let me show you an actual set. All right, because squats are tricky. So this is me actually doing it. This is a hard exercise, guys. When you're actually getting into it, you're not going to want to take this one to failure or to 1 rep left in the tank or 0 reps left in the tank because it's hard, it's painful, and it's scary. Make sure you set up like I do right here. This is as low as I can go, so I put the safeties right there. Common sense. Use your noggin. Don't fuck around with this shit. First rep done. Okay? 1, 2. So this is going to end up being like a 3 or 4 rep max for me already. 3. Most of you guys would have stopped right there. I'm going to do another one. See how slowly the bar. Now, this is a pretty good set. Okay, I would say it's like an 8 out of 10. My technique broke down a little bit at the end, but that's the point of kind of why I wanted to show you guys these sets, guys. Like I'm not trying to perform here for you. I'm just doing my workout. This is what I would have done with the camera on or off. Okay, and as you can see, my technique broke down a little bit, but it was still within an acceptable range. My back was flat. Okay, I was still pretty much the same torso angle. The weight did shift me forward a little bit, but that's okay. I was pushing with my legs, and most importantly, did you see that bar speed? It almost slowed down to a halt. So on that 3rd rep, that felt like death. What that's going to do for you guys is it's going to immediately put you into defensive mode and make you clam up, and you're not going to want to finish the set well. You're going to do all sorts of things with your technique to make it feel less painful, or you might just stop the set right there. And that's the point here is you have to be brave and nut up on some of these exercises and take them all the way to failure, but you need to do so with the knowledge of what type of like changes or alterations to my body position are acceptable. So that was an acceptable degree of change. My feet were flat, my back was flat, and it was just a good grind. So right there. Let's move on to the stiff leg deadlift after this. Deadlifts are also hard because a lot of people have trouble with their hamstrings. Okay, my back position right there. All right, look at the back position. It's arched. All right, and I'm going to go as far as I can, pushing my hips back. All right, until basically that stretch on the back of the leg gets to be too much. My knees aren't locked out; they are bent, but they are bent, moving backwards. Think about that for a second. I'm not going to repeat it. Just if you need to, just think about that. I promise it makes sense if you just think about it. Okay. And look at me right here. Look at the angle. It's like this and like that. You guys can figure that out. You're smart. Okay? So your knees need to be behind you, but they need to not be locked out. Very, very important. Okay? If you lock out your knees, you're not going to have a good time on this. I go as far as I can and I come back up. That's it. Okay? But, okay, so it's not that complicated. Why is it tricky? Why is it getting messed up? Well, it gets tricky for the same reason why I'm about to show you somebody else doing it in a second. So that's me. Here's my boy Sammy doing this exercise now. Now I'm including him because He can't get as far. Do you see right there? As soon as he gets to the point where his hamstrings lock up, he wants to bend his back. Okay, so if you try to just copy exactly what you see me do and recreate all the same angles, like again, you're not gonna have a good time. You might be more flexible than me, or you might be less flexible than me. The point is, you have to go to the point that's right for you. And for Sam, it's gonna be about right there, and then she's gonna come right back up because he doesn't have flexible hamstrings. But this exercise will make his hamstrings more flexible. Do you see that? That little shake in his leg, that happened because the hamstring was like, oh, that's as much as I'm willing to stretch, and it started pulling back, shaking the knee back and forth. Okay, so if this is you, if you're not as flexible, that's all you got to do. Okay, you don't have to go further than that. Here's an actual set of me doing it now. Same thing. Back needs to be flat. Feet don't need to be perfectly balanced here. You can be a little bit in your heels. It's a stiff leg deadlift. Now look here. This is why I'm saying like technique matters. Look, when I first do this, I'm just trying to show you like if I pick this up only trying to use my hand, too much, right? Too much. But then I can use leg drive. All right, technique matters a lot. Okay, now I'm not going to be trying to use leg drive on these stiff leg deadlifts when I'm actually doing them because I'm not going as far down. Okay, I'm going to the point where my hamstrings have the most leverage to do the work, and they're strong enough to pull me back up from there without the use of my legs, as you can see here. So I go to where it stretches out, and I go back. There's one, there's two. My back is still arched, so this is good, but it's getting hard already. 3. The forearms, by the way. Okay, that's it. Why did I stop? Well, I felt like my back on the next one was going to round, which is not the point of a stiff leg deadlift. The point of a stiff leg deadlift is to exhaust the hamstrings. What did I just say? If the hamstrings lose their ability to function properly, you will rely on the low back. So if I feel that all of my effort is going to start going in my low back, I know that my hamstrings have done as much work as they can, and I end the set there. As you can see, the bar moved a lot faster than it did on the squat. Okay, so context is important here. Okay, if your set looks like that on a stiff, you should be good to go. We got dips next. Pretty self-explanatory, not that complicated. A lot of people have problems with these though, and that's just because of the shoulder position. Look at my shoulders again, back. They're up, but they are back. Okay, I got a slight forward lean, and I'm going as low as I can every single time. I don't have a clip of me doing actual dips. They're not in my program right now. So you're just going to have to see from this. Okay, but dips are intuitive. Like, they're easy to take to failure. Okay, you just want to make sure you're not doing what I just showed right there. My shoulders down. I want to be like that with my shoulders down. I want to be like this. See that? That's what I want to do with my shoulders. So if there's something for you to copy based on what you see, it's that. Just copy that. Keep the elbows tucked in. Okay? Keep the elbows tucked in. You'll have a good time on those dips. You got shoulder problems on the dips? Let me know in the comments. I'll make a more in-depth video on that on what to do. Because I have terrible shoulders, guys, but I do dips just fine. They shouldn't be that bad. Bench press is a little more complicated. Okay, there's a lot of things to keep in mind on this. So pay attention here. With the hands, you're going to space them apart to the point where basically your forearms are straight up and down at the bottom of the movement, which means you basically won't know how far away to place your hands from each other until you actually try it. It's going to take some trial and error. You have to play around with the position. What's most important though, okay, is that the bar is touching the highest point here. You see how my back is arched? My ribs are up? Keeping the ribs up like that makes sure that the pecs remain in a state where they have leverage to do the work instead of the front delts. Okay, as soon as I start doing this with my form, I'm allowing my front delts to have leverage to do the work. If I keep them pinned back like this, the front delts don't have any leverage, so they're not going to do anything. It's just going to be the chest. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I'm doing with my shoulders here. Look, pinch back, pinch down. All right, back, down, back and down, back and down, back and down. When I do that, it locks my hands in a position, meaning I don't have to. If you guys are thinking, okay, where should I put the bar? Should it be here? If you're doing your shoulders properly, that's not a valid question. Okay, where should the bar touch is not a valid question for this exercise. Because if you're doing the shoulder position thing I'm talking about, your hands are incapable of going anywhere else. Think about it. They're here. I bend my elbows. Boom. It touches right there. I straighten it. It goes back up in a straight line. That's it. You don't need to think about where the bar is touching. You only need to think about your shoulders being back and down. Next thing is make sure that your hands, when you're grabbing the bar, they're like this. Okay? Like this. That way the bar sits right here. Okay, so you can keep your wrist straight. If you let the bar sit here, it's going to cock your wrist back like that. You need it sitting right there on the bone. It's called the ulna. Okay, the ulna. It needs to sit right there on the fucking ulna. If it doesn't, okay, you don't keep your wrist straight. Again, you're gonna have a bad time. Okay, so all these things very important to keep track of. After you go like this, okay, and you got it sitting on the ulna, you are going to twist into the bar like that. No actual movement's going to occur with your hands, right? Obviously, you've got a bar there. It's stacked. The point is the intent. What that's going to do is going to tighten everything up, and it's going to allow you to lock your lats into place like this. It's going to make everything super tight, and it's going to allow you to keep your wrist straight. Okay, play around with that. Try to figure out what I'm saying there. It's a lot, but you'll be able to figure it out. Okay? What we want is a sensation where we feel the exercise right here in the middle of our chest. Look, I'm showing you right there. It can't go anywhere else if my shoulders are in the right position. Okay? So here's an actual set of me doing the bench press now. This is what it will look like when you're going heavy and you're doing a 4 to 6 rep max. Normal tempo. I'm not trying to go super slow or anything like that. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now it's starting to slow down on me on its own. Okay? Like I said, that's the bonk zone. We're getting to the bonk zone. Okay? It's simple. You guys see, all I'm doing is to the point where that happens. Okay? It's fighting back so hard that I know that I'm just not going to get another rep. That's it. You guys don't need to make it that complicated, okay? You don't need to, but you do need to not be pussy. Like I'm saying, like you guys, a lot of you guys would stop like 3 reps ago. A lot of people benching in the gym, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they would stop right there, or maybe even before, and not get that extra rep. Okay? But it's good to get that extra rep in so you know where your failure point is. It's very important for you to understand because that's going to dictate your training. Everything is based on intensity. Okay? If you don't have the proper intensity on these lifts, they will not do anything for you. Okay? They will do fuck all. You need for the exercise to get hard on you. Pause. You need for the exercise to get difficult on you. It has to. Otherwise, you're not doing shit. And I don't know how to say this any other way. Guys, like I see people in the gym all the time not putting in effort on their sets and they expect to grow because of the exercise they're doing. And that thinking is just so fucking stupid. It makes me, oh my God. You have to suffer. Period. You have to. There's no fucking way around it. And as long as your sets look like that right from the start, even when you're a beginner, after you've learned the movements, of course, but even when you're a beginner, if your sets look like that, you're going to make progress instantly. I saw progress in my first 2 or 3 months of lifting. It was incredible progress. It's called newbie gains for a reason, guys. They're incredible gains that you can get. You have to do it right off the bat. This is why fitness is so polarizing. You either have people who are super into it or people that are just not into it at all. And the reason is that it's because the people who are super into it because it was good to them. It was kind to them. We saw results right away and they were mind-blowing. Whereas people who are not, they did stuff and they didn't see any results, so they got resentful. Does that make sense? This is going to be something where it's like if you do it right off the bat, you will be hooked. If you don't do it right off the bat, it's going to take the life out of you. I promise. It's not going to be fun. Okay, hack squats next. Great exercise again for the quads. Okay, sometimes you're going to be doing this instead of a squat, right? So you should see what's up here. Feet still need to be flat, back still needs to be flat, but good thing on this is that the machine takes care of the back flat part for you, gives you something to brace against. All you have to worry about is where to place your feet. Okay, if they're too far back, then your heels will come off, and you don't want that. So place them as far back towards your butt as you can without that happening. Okay, we want the knees to come forward as much as possible. Next, we want to make sure we're getting a deep stretch on this exercise. That's really important. We want to make sure we're going deep. Everything in the quad grows from a really long length position, okay, because that's where it has a lot of leverage. So if your hack squat doesn't go as far down like mine doesn't, you can take some yoga blocks and put them under the pads in between that and your shoulders. That's a little hack that I have found to give me some more depth. Boom, there you go. Okay, and if I want even more, I can put more yoga blocks. It's all good. I don't mind. Okay, so the point is you want a deep knee flexion on this. Okay, I'm not doing this exercise in my program right now. I do leg presses, so I believe that's what's after that in the next clip. Okay, yeah, knees out just like in squat. Okay, we get. Okay, yeah, leg press. Okay, so yeah, had to change the depth there. Okay, but leg press, you can really see, guys, how little you're trying. Okay, you're gonna watch me do this set. Probably around rep 4 or 5, you're gonna be like, okay, he's done. And you guys would be done too. Okay, watch each rep that I do after this and be honest with yourself. Be honest. Ask yourself, would I have done those extra reps? Would I have done every single one? Like after that rep where I was like, ooh, that one looked hard. Would I have kept going if I was in that situation? Ask yourself that. And if the answer is no, that's the first problem. It's still fine right now. There it gets hard. I see people all the time after that one right there. That took a lot out of me. That was a lot of effort. You can see it on my face. A lot of people just put it back right there. Not me. Another one. A lot of people would stop right there. Be honest. Will you stop right there? That looked hard. Whoa, that one looked hard too. Are we done? Oh, we're not done. We're not done. Now we're done. Okay? You have a lot more than you think. Almost always, especially when. Okay, so I wouldn't do that on a squat, but you guys see how much stronger your muscles are than your mind. Okay? It like you have a lot more reps in the tank than you think. Okay? And it takes putting away your ego to admit that because we all want to think we're tough and we all want to think of ourselves as having the ability to do things right. Okay? But you're not tough yet. You need to build that. So build into that. Go as close as you can to that zone as possible every single time and challenge yourself. Push yourself to do more. I promise if you don't bite off more than you can chew, you won't get burnt out from it and you will continue to see progress. Like I said in the other video, guys, it's not important that you're perfect. You don't need to be just like me right off the bat. That would defeat the whole purpose of this video. You guys are beginners. I've been doing this for years. Okay? The point is that you need to be aiming for me. If you're not aiming in my direction, you're hustling in reverse. Does that make sense? Perfect. Leg lifts. Straightforward. I don't even have a working set on this. I just have the demonstration because this is really, really simple. If you guys fuck this one up, you're going to be seriously questioning your retention skills. Okay, so look. Low back, flat against the bench. It's all you have to think about. Look, just create a seal between your low back and where the bench is so that I would not be able to slip my hand underneath. That's just, so you just crunch your abs really hard and keep your back curved against the bench like that, and you're going to be fine. Make sure your feet go all the way down below the bench, and if you're not strong enough, don't go that far. Simple. Just go as far as you can, and then look to improve that depth over time. And if you need weight, put a fucking weight between your feet. Okay? This is not rocket surgery, guys. Lifting is really simple. Okay? You find a movement pattern, you realize what muscle makes that movement pattern happen, and then you make that movement pattern hard using weight. Easy. Okay? Pendlay rows are next. All that means it's a barbell row that just starts on the ground. Okay? Ends on the ground as well. That way the low back, you give it a break, okay? Take some stress and some pressure off the low back. What I'm going to be demonstrating here is the most important thing. Your arms need to be straight up and down at the beginning of the exercise. Your elbows or your shoulders should be right over the bar. See that? Not in front, not behind, straight over the bar. That's how you're going to know you're in the right position. Back flat as always, okay? Brace your stomach, just like I'm saying there, and just pull the bar towards you. Pull your elbows straight back. Keep them tucked as much as you can, but don't overthink this one, guys. Just pull it. really, really hard. Okay, don't be a pussy about this one. Again, like back exercises are weird. It's going to feel easier at the start, and then it's going to get harder and harder and harder. So you have to yank it off the ground. Okay, you have to yank it with force, with speed. As long as your abs are flexed and your spine is straight, you're going to be good. Watch me do these here. Even a little bit of body English, totally acceptable on this one. Okay, totally acceptable. This is what a really actual hard set looks like on these. This develops the entire posterior chain. Your low back, your upper back, your lats, everything. It's a great exercise for beginners. I'm using it in my program right now because I'm very focused on the back, and this one hits the whole back. Okay, but I also do more specialized work that is more targeted because that's an exercise where it's like it's really good for beginners, but it's not the best for hypertrophying anyone's particular muscle due to a multitude of factors that I'm not going to get into right now that you don't really have to worry about. This is going to be a great exercise for you. This vertical pulling pattern. So if you can't do a pull up, you're gonna do pull downs. Okay, even if you can do pull ups, you're gonna pull down sometimes because it's a fucking great exercise. Okay, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The concept is the same. On pull ups or pull downs or whatever, what have you, you want to keep your chest up just like on the bench. Okay, and what you don't want to do is go all the way to the point where your humerus. This is your humerus, the bone that goes from your elbow to your shoulder. You don't want it to be elevating. Okay, so as the shoulder's opening up, you want to keep it down. You don't want this to happen because then you lose leverage on the lats. The whole amazing thing about vertical pulling patterns is that they're awesome for the lats. So keep them in the lats. Okay, see that right there? I keep my shoulder packed down like that, and that's what the lat does right there. Is it closes the elbow into the hip with the shoulder down. Okay, here's me doing some pull-ups. Same concept. See? Driving the elbow straight down. I'm not trying to curl myself up with my arms. I'm trying to drive the elbow straight down. So if you guys are having a hard time wrapping your head around that concept, just simply sit down and put your elbow on your knee just like this. You see how I'm doing right there? Just do this. Okay, and then simply keep your chest up and push your elbow down into your knee. See this? I'm keeping my chest up. Push your elbow down into your knee. And then feel right here. That thick rope of muscle running alongside your rib cage, that is your lat right there. That is what you should be using on a pull-up. And if you can't do that, once again, do a pull down. Use your lats. But when you get strong enough, you get to do weighted pull-ups, and these are really fun. So here's me actually doing a hard set. This is what it's going to look like. I don't even lock out on these. I'm keeping the tension in my lats. Now, it might look like I'm rushing through it, but I'm not. I'm under control. The reason why it looks fast is because at first I'm fast on the way up. The speed on the way down never changes, but at first I'm fast on the way up. Why? Because I'm producing as much force as I can. I'm not going to purposely slow myself down. I'm going to recruit as many motor units. We went over the motor units in the last one. That's why I asked you to remember that. Okay, I'm recruiting as many motor units as I can right off the bat, so I'm pulling as hard as I can. And when the weight is light enough, I'm going to be moving faster because force equals mass times acceleration. So if I'm using the same force, if I'm using if I'm using a lot of force, okay, and the mass is lower than what I can actually lift, then it's going to be made up for with acceleration, right? Speed, okay? Obviously, it's just basic physics. This is what it's going to look like, though, when you get close to failure. Oh, yeah, it gets hard at the top, and you just got to grind it. Okay, that's it. That's it. It's really that simple. But most people aren't like every single one of these sets that you see me do. You should be like, oh yeah, that's simple. That looks simple. But most people don't take it as far. And they just don't take it as far because they're so concerned with the technique, or so I don't know why, or they don't like the feedback of pain or discomfort or whatever. They've been told if their technique is even an iota out of whack, like that they're going to get spontaneous muscle Ebola. Shout out to Paul Carter for that one. They're going to get spontaneous muscle Ebola or something from that, and it's just not true. Okay, you're gonna be okay within an acceptable degree. Okay, I got shoulder presses right now, and all I got Mar here showing you guys. Okay, she did a great job there. Between the elbows out versus the elbows in. So the elbows out right there. Okay, that's going to be not quite as comfy for most people as putting the elbows a little bit more in front of you. Now, it is a spectrum. Okay, you're going to have to figure out what works. Okay, if you have shoulder problems like me, it might hurt a little bit, or something might be weird Okay, I've got a torn labrum. I could easily dislocate my shoulder if I go too far into external rotation while I'm trying to do a press over my head. So I really keep kind of my elbows in front here. However, it does change the muscles that you use a little bit. If your elbows are more in front, it's a little bit more upper chest and front delt. And if you move them to the side, it's a little bit more side delt. Okay, so you're just going to have to kind of play around, see what feels good for you. Important things, you keep your chest up. Again, just like all these exercises. Mark doing keeping the chest up. And push those dumbbells in a straight line. That's all. This one's simple. Honestly, I would just hop on a machine to do this if you have a machine for the shoulder press. This is what I have. If you have a machine like this, just use that. It's amazing. Okay. I don't go all the way to failure on this one. I leave a rep in the tank. This is what a rep in the tank will look like for most people. See, it slows down on me and grinds. The resistance profile on this machine is a little bit smoother for the shoulders, which is why I really like it. Okay, so that's why it didn't just like do a hard sticking point like you saw in the squat, and then I was just like done. Okay, so again, you have to understand based off of the exercise what close to failure or failure feels and looks like. That's context here. So anytime you're confused, go back and watch this video. Find the exercise that you're doing in the program. Watch me do it. That's what your set should look like. Okay. I don't have an empty bar demonstration for this one. This is a Smith machine JM press. Okay, you got skullcrushers. It's the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing. You want to make sure that your elbows stay up when you're doing a tricep extension, lying tricep extension of any kind. Okay, keep your goddamn elbows up. Do not do this shit. Do not do this shit. Okay, don't go back behind your head like that. You don't need to do that either. Just keep them up. Keep them over the shoulder, and bend the elbow. That right there. That's where I got. And then boom, straight up like that. And you can see the triceps working there. Okay? Don't overcomplicate it. I'm using a Smith machine so I don't have to worry about stability, and also so I don't have to worry about a spotter. I can just rack it if something goes wrong. Okay? Most engineers look at my wrists. See that? That helps me keep the tension right here. If you go like this, okay, you're going to start to feel it here. Go like this, this, and this is what it should look like when you get close to failure. On the triceps, you feel kind of fast. They're a fast twitch muscle. When they hit the wall, they hit it hard. So that was it right there. Okay? Simple. Simple, simple, simple. I think this is the last one we got right here, the bicep curl. It's a preacher curl. Okay? Keep your armpits in the bench. This is just the best exercise for the biceps. Preacher curl is the best. So just do this one for now. Okay? Go as far as you can, but avoid lockouts. You don't need to lock out on this. You don't need to come up all the way either. You just lose tension. This mid-range is the most important part on the preacher curl. And this is what it should look like when you're grinding through it. Look, watch this. Watch this last rep. Most of you guys don't stop there. You stop before that. You stop early. That's why you're not seeing the same gains that I am. That's why you're not seeing the 1, 2, 3, 4 months transformations that you see people talking about all the time. Okay, if you guys are not actually taking these sets as far as you can, you're going to grow like a little bit, but the pace at which you're going to be unsatisfactory. It's not going to be worth the squeeze. The juice won't be worth the squeeze. You're putting in all this effort, you're learning, you're doing all this stuff. Get something for it, right? Get a reward from it. If all that's separating you between like meager gains and really super meaningful gains, if all that separates that is like 1 or 2 reps per set, per exercise, like isn't that worth it? Like maybe 10 minutes total. Like I'm talking about if you add up the time that it took me to do all of those hard reps, I'm not talking about the easy ones, but the hard reps and all of those sets, you added them all together, that's maybe like 5 minutes of effort. Okay, is it 5 minutes of effort worth that? Like, come on, guys. And I'm giving you this for free. Okay? This is what trainers like this is the point of me making the series is I want you guys to be independent. Okay, anytime some trainer tells you that you need them, run the other way. That's bullshit. Okay, you don't need anyone. Okay, what you need is to understand. All a trainer does is they take that thinking part out of it. Okay, so that's helpful for a lot of people. That's really, really good. But if you want this to be something that is part of your life, that benefits you for the long term, and that you feel like you feel like this is my thing, I can do this, I'm self-sufficient. If you want to derive any sort of meaning from it, you need that self-sufficiency. Okay, it's the same type of satisfaction that a lot of guys get from knowing how to fix their car, for example. Right? You don't want to rely on a mechanic. Like this is just something. It's another thing to add to your life to take pride in. And if you do these things the way that I'm telling you, you're going to develop a love for what you're doing, and then that love will lead to a pursuit of what you're doing, and that pursuit is going to lead to a deeper understanding. That deeper understanding, guess what that does? It reinforces the love, baby. And it's just this positive feedback loop that just keeps on going forever. Keeps on going forever. Love, pursuit, understanding, back to love. Okay, and that's what understanding these things helps do, right? Because the point is that you guys hit a wall in that loop, right? The circuit is shorted at the understanding part, right? As soon as you're confused, you get short-circuited. It doesn't work anymore. That feedback cycle is broken. So don't be confused. Do everything that you see me do in this video. Follow the program that I have in the description and in the actual video of the first part of this series. Okay? I'm going to have another part coming after this, where I believe it's just it's pretty much just bulking. Okay, so I got a comment on a recent video asking me to go over bulking for hard gainers. Guys, I'm a hard gainer myself. Okay, I was 110 pounds in high school. Okay, I know the struggle of not understanding nutrition and not understanding how to gain weight. I'll also probably go over how to lose weight for the people that are interested in that. But the video will include my full day of eating. Okay, and it's going to be also it's going to include my roommate. It's going to have his full day of eating too, so I can show you guys like we're eating very different things, but I'm going to highlight the principles that we have in common that are most important for muscle growth and just bodybuilding in general. Okay, so I know this video is a long one, but this is so important. So watch it multiple times if you have to. Like I said, every exercise that you're going to be doing on your program when you go into the gym is going to be in this video. So make sure you study it and make sure that you spend at least like a week just getting yourself comfortable with the exercises. Look at that as your first goal in the gym. It's just to go in there, confidently walk up to the machines or the equipment that you need, perform the exercise that you know you need to be doing with intentionality, with practice, with consciousness, and I promise you will start to see those gains way quicker than you think. So that's all from me for now, and I'll see you guys next time.